So I think we are all here together. So yes, Rafael just told me that everyone expected has joined this session. So I'm going to start and they're going to have a very nice moment of talk right now. Thank you very much everyone for joining us. I'm Caroline Ribeiro, Communications Coordinator of the Brazil Africa Institute. It is my pleasure to be here with you today in this very special moment to launch the publication Good Practices in South-South and Triangular Cooperation in the Context of Food Security. I'd like to start encouraging all the audience to engage with us using the chat function here via Zoom to address some questions for the speakers. Please note that this will be the only way for you to address some questions because live questions are not going to be taken, okay? And also please note that this webinar will be recorded and shared on South-South Global Thinkers and South-South Galaxy platforms as well. So as I said, this is the launch of the Good Practices in South-South and Triangular Cooperation in the context of food security publication. This is a publication that was initially raised by the Brazil Africa Institute last year as an outcome of the Brazil Africa Forum, which was pretty focused on food security and sustainable development. The Brazil Africa Institute has always worked looking to stimulate cooperation, especially South-South cooperation. This is the core of the Institute. And that's why I'd like to ask Professor João Bosco Monte, President of the Brazil Africa Institute. Professor, are there any more initiatives to further regarding cooperation? Because I know that this is a really special thing for the Institute. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Caroline. It's a very big pleasure for me to be among friends. It's good to see friendly faces. And I understand this moment is a milestone that we put together the Brazil Africa Institute with the cooperation with the Office of South-South Cooperation from the United Nations. So it's a very good moment for us, especially in this moment where and when people are in confinement, people cannot travel. So cooperation is indeed, Caroline, a good opportunity for us to enhance some goals. And for the Brazil Africa Institute, I think is a good moment. If I look back 1 year ago, when we closed the Brazil Africa Forum 2019, I see now a good result. The achievement that we have now launching this good practices document is, of course, a moment that we engage with more organizations. What is the importance of South-South and Triangular Cooperation for food security? I understand food security is an agenda that we should look very precisely and very close, and not only in Brazil, not only in Africa, but all around the world. And what I understand that we can have now in this discussion, 1 hour and a half conversation, I understand that is a conversation among people and organizations who understand that food security should be a driver for sustainable development. Without development, we cannot go very far. And I understand that what we are trying to do here is a opportunity that we give to ourselves, but also for the partners that we have around our environment. I remember when the BAPA Plus 40 mentioned that food security could be a driver for South-South and Triangular Cooperation to bring development, sustainable development. I understand this message should be emphasized by all the organizations that we have on board in this discussion. And I very much understand that the moment that we face now is a moment with very, very difficult. We just closed the Brazil Africa Forum 2020 two weeks ago, and the message that we brought to the conversation was cooperation is very important, but besides cooperation, solidarity. And I understand in this conversation that we have today, the word solidarity will be a connection that we should use, because without solidarity, we cannot do anything. And alone, it's impossible to achieve goals. And all the organizations that we have in this conversation today, Caroline and Grace, is a opportunity that we give to the society to work together. And I'm very happy that after 1 year of work, and I understand my team, Brazil African Institute team, and the UNOSSC team try to put together the result of the conversation that we had 1 year ago at the Brazil Africa Forum 2019 in Sao Paulo. And this is an opportunity that I see for us to bring more people on board. Not only us, not the 5 or the 10 faces, the organization that we have in this conversation, as I know that we have many people watching us and participating in this session, in this conference. I understand we should invite more people to participate with us, because without this joint activity, we cannot bring positive and tangible results. So my idea or my dream is that after this conversation, we can bring more people to be with us, to join us, and maybe next year we can have another conversation with another document with more practice. Not only 40, Grace, but we can have more. And this is what I have in mind. Open this important moment, and I understand when we have the floor open to our guests, they will present what they showed 1 year ago, but maybe something else will be presented here, because from November last year to now, 1 year, I understand we had so many cases, especially now in this moment of people, when people cannot travel, we have to do things remotely, but we cannot stop. Although the situation is very critical, we cannot stop. And food security is one agenda that we should pursue. I understand, and I see this very clear. If we do not bring solutions for food security, if we not bring food for people, we won't be able to bring solutions, tangible solutions. So after this 1.5 hour conversation, I'm sure that some solutions will be placed, and I'm very pleased that we have champions in this conversation bringing good solutions. So thank you very much, Caroline, and I wish that we have a very good moment today.
Thank you, Professor. We also have here Mrs. Xiaojun Grace Wang, Deputy Director of the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation. I'm going to call you Grace. Hi, Grace. So we are launching here the result of a very well-succeeded partnership between IBRAF and the office in a very important moment, right?
Yes, Caroline. Yeah, so thank you very much, dear Professor Monte, President of Brazil Africa Institute, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. It's such a pleasure today to join you, to join this very important dialogue on good practices in South-South and triangular cooperation for the very important issue of food security. Also, this is a moment that we will launch a publication. But as Professor Monte said, this is not just a publication. This is the wisdom and the actual practice of many partners around the world trying to address these food security challenges together. And we hope this is only a start of a journey that we walk together hand in hand. And that is the spirit of South-South and triangular cooperation. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome and thank our distinguished speakers today who have contributed to the publication from the Brazilian Cooperation Agency, ABC, the Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa, the Brazilian Agricultural Research Cooperation, and our distinguished UN agency partners, FAO and WFP. As Professor Monte said, the COVID-19 pandemic has made the world witness serious impact. The world has, for the first time, had an increase in poverty over 2 decades, and a recess in human development. Food security is among the critical areas that have been severely impacted. Even prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we know more than 820 million people had already been identified as chronically food insecure. And this number could nearly double by end of 2020 in the wake of the pandemic. I read this FAO report on the state of food security and nutrition in the world 2020. And it indicates that nearly 690 million people suffer from hunger, which is around 8.9% of the world population. COVID-19 pandemic could add between 83 and 132 million to the number. And again, that brings the whole percentage to about 9% of the world population. It depends on the economic growth scenario. So where are these people that we today are talking about, food security issue? And where are they most impacted? They are in the global South. And that's why South-South cooperation is very critical, very relevant. According to the World Bank report, food security will mostly impact the following countries during the COVID pandemic. They call it hotspots. So the first group of countries is fragile and conflict-affected states, where the pandemic is likely to have significant impact in delivery of humanitarian and recovery assistance. Also, countries affected by multiple crises resulting from more frequent extreme weather events like floods, droughts, and pests like the locust plague, the worst in decade, impacting food production in 23 countries. The poor and the vulnerable communities who were already chronically food insecure before COVID-19 crisis impacted, it's impacted movements and incomes. So they are the ones suffer most. And countries with significant currency depreciation, driving up the cost of food imports, and countries seeing other commodity prices collapse. So these are the challenges, and to mitigate the negative impact, it needs countries, governments, and societies to take immediate action to keep the trade flow, to strengthen food supply chains, and to increase agricultural productivity. This also includes, of course, investment in smallholder women and men who rely on agriculture for their livelihoods, to increase food security nutrition for the poorest, as well as food production for local and global markets, to enhance agriculture and rural development. We know that the global South face challenges, but we also know it is the South that also generate solutions, innovative and practical solutions on all these issues. The publication we will be launching today showcase notable solutions at all levels. Some are national policies, some are supporting sub-regional, regional integration efforts, and some are influencing at global level. These good practices gathered in this publication, it aims to benefit developing countries and South-South players to seek to scale up their cooperation initiative, particularly in the widespread of application of policies, strategies, programs, technologies related to these challenges. And these good practices took place before the pandemic, but we hope by exchanging the knowledge, by learning and adapting them, they will also be meaningful and relevant for the recovery from the pandemic. We will also be sharing these good practices on the South-South Galaxy platform. There, is facilitated by AI. We can help solution seekers to more easily access this knowledge and dialogue, connect with the people behind those good practices, with the institutions, as Professor Monte said, more and more institutions that are willing to join us to scale up those good practices, to address real issues in the field. I would like to take this opportunity to really commend IBRAF and the contributing partners for this effort to put together all this reservoir of knowledge. But also, it's a call. It's a call that after this dialogue, we can engage with you and more partners in this area to broaden our knowledge sharing and to strengthen the South-South cooperation spirit. The world has many challenges, but the only solution is cooperation. I look forward to a very rich discussion today, and I have the honor to announce, together with President of Brazil Africa Institute, Professor Monte, and the distinguished panel with representatives from ABC, FAO, WFP, IBRAF, FARA, the launch of the publication. We invite all participants to watch an introduction video. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now we are going to watch this video message. So as you see, the publication is already available. You can just consult the link that our friend Shams has already put at the chat, South-South Galaxy. It's already available for you to consult. We have 4 beautiful good practices in South-South and triangular cooperation. As Ms. Grace Wing just said, the South is facing huge challenges, but the South also has provided some answers. And we expect that these good practices can inspire all to try to change these preoccupant scenarios. So to start addressing some of the good practices in the publication, I'm going to start talking. It is my pleasure to talk with Mr. Neuci Caixeta. He is the General Coordinator of Technical Cooperation at the Brazilian Cooperation Agency. Hello, Mr. Neuci.
Hello, Carolina. Good day. How are you?
Thank you very much for joining us today. Mr. Neuci is going to address the good practice, Brazil's development of integrated and sustainable agricological production in Senegal. This is called the PAIS project. So, Mr. Neuci, I'd like to start asking you for please give us some of the cultural similarities that you have identified between Brazil and Senegal at this onset project, and how have they become an asset during the implementation phase of the project?
Thank you, Carolina. First of all, I'd like to greet all, and thanks Professor João Monte for inviting me to take part in this very special event in where we will be able to share our experience in South-South cooperation, especially in Africa, which is the region I work mostly with the projects. Well, and I'd like also to congratulate all people involved in this publication, which was launched today. And I think it could be a reference for different actors around the world, not only for information, but also for researching and also for inspiration. As there is a list of 40 good practices, I think different actors could inspire in this very successful initiative to promote the development of many countries. As Caroline said, I'm going to share with you some our experience in developing and implementing the project called PICE, which with the name Integrated and Sustainable Agricological Production in Senegal. This project is a social technology, if we could say that. I'd like to thank my friend, the agronomist Ali Nijai. He's Senegalese. He's been living in Brazil for almost 30 years. And he is the responsible for developing this idea, this project, which is called social technology. Well, to answer your question, Caroline, I'd like to point out two important points. The way Senegal demands the support of Brazil to implement this project, which is one of the principle of South-South cooperation, which is demand-driven. And the other point is related to the tropical agriculture. Brazil and Senegal are able to develop the tropical agriculture. I think almost everybody knows that Brazil in the 70s was a food importer. And thanks to the cooperation, technical cooperation, investments, and good agriculture policies, we became what we are today. So we are a very great commodity producer, and we export, and also we produce to national consumption. And when I talk about inspiration, I think Senegal was right to establish a partnership with Brazil because we really are an example of agriculture. And this is the 2 points that make us develop this project together. We designed the project together to address the real needs of Senegal. And it was succeed. So you could see more details in the publication, but I'll be able to speak more about it.
Yeah, Mr. UNOSSC, the project is settled on the basis of building agro-villages. So what were the challenges that you faced in order to build these agro-villages and how they worked?
Well, I think the most important challenge we face, because projects all the time we've been facing challenges, but to establish the agro-villages. So during the project, we set up about 11 in different regions of Senegal. But the most important challenge was the setting up of this system, the integration of different systems of production. We integrated horticulture, fish farming, poultry, and fruit growing. Everything together, one having the benefits of the other ones. And this was totally different from the reality in Senegal. That's why it became a very special challenge. So during the project, not all the sections developed the way we want, but we could verify that this kind of integration would make the farmers, the smallholder farmers, produce all over the year, what was totally different from their reality. They used to produce maybe only one kind of crop, and remain the rest of the year without working on the field and money. And this integration of different systems in different areas make them produce food all over the year for their own consumption, and also to sell the surplus, increasing their income, and also having conditions to have a better rural life. Okay, so this was the biggest challenge.
Yeah, this kind of integration, Mr. Nussi, one of the main goals for you was to try to reduce unemployment, especially between younger people. So have you achieved this goal?
Well, as the project objective was to set up these unit pilots, and then depends on the result, it would be a scale up in the country. And it really happened, okay? ANIDA is the partnership of ABC and in Senegal. ANIDA is the Agence Nationale d'Insertion et Développement Agricole, Senegal, attached to the Ministry of Agriculture. The actions, the initiative was so successful that ANIDA was asked to develop agricultural policy in the country, so that the government could help young and women farmers to help them develop their activities and have a better life. Okay, so I think we contributed to reduce the unemployment, as the reports of ANIDA said. Okay, and I'd just like to give some examples. I have just talked to some farmers who took part in the project. One of them told me one day that through the project, he could open a banking account. Others could refurbish their houses. Many of them could send their children to school. Others could buy medicine for their children when they're sick. So we could see that they improve their lives. Okay, that's what really counts in our opinion.
This is amazing. These are very nice examples to give. So, Mr. Nussi, can you please also talk about a little bit about the current efforts from the Brazilian government to try to replicate and maybe scale up the project to the rest of the country and also beyond other countries through South-South cooperation?
Well, Caroline, as I told you, the PAIS became agricultural policy. So the government was able to scale up this through the country. More than 400 agro villages were set up in the country with other characteristics, but the main idea was what the project brought to them. And then the Senegalese government asked Brazil to go on helping them consolidate these technologies in the country. And also for them was very important to certify the organic projects. And then we designed a second phase of the project, which is going on since 1918. It will be until 2022. So we have 2 more years ahead. And we've not only the 20 new farms that we have established, but we are helping the first ones too. And with a lot of trainings, which will be held in Brazil and also in Senegal. We have been sending missions, and we have received missions in Brazil to go on training these farmers, the ANIDA's technicians, so that they will be able not only to satisfy the needs of Senegal, but also we hope that Senegal in some years maybe will be able to contribute to other countries, to our neighbor countries, to have this technology to produce food for their own consumption and to sell the surpluses. That's what I'm expecting with this project.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Nussi, for sharing with us some of this brief around this amazing project. Thank you very much for joining us. We are going to talk about other good practice right now. We are going to change for the Mr. Amping Ye, who is the Director of South-South and Triangular Cooperation Division, Food and Agriculture of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO. Thank you, Mr. Ye, for joining us today. It's a pleasure to talk to you. We are going to address right now. I think, yeah, now I can hear you right now. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Ye, the good practice is FAO China South-South Cooperation Project in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So, Mr. Ye, what are the main challenges faced by the Democratic Republic of the Congo in the agricultural production and food security also? And could you tell us about the main outcomes and achievements delivered by the FAO SSTC project implemented there? And I also would like to take the chance to request your thoughts on, in this post-COVID world we are about to live right now, how do you think South-South and Triangular Cooperation good practices serve as a means for ensuring food security? If you can please comment for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Chairperson. Thank you very much. According to my understanding, is that this afternoon or this morning we discuss 3 keywords. First is food security. Second is South-South and Triangular Cooperation. Third one is challenge and good practice. According to my understanding that. So I'm very pleased to join this discussion. I will give you one presentation first, then I will special answer your question, such as achievement, outcome, and also the challenge, what we met in DRC, Democratic Republic of China, under FAO China Special Trust Fund project. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon. I'm so honored to have been invited to participate in this launch event. Just now, I very carefully listened the president of President Manto, Professor Manto, and Ms. Wang, their speech, and also the launch event of publication. First, I would like to congratulate both UN Office of South-South Cooperation and Brazil Africa Institute on this successful completion and launch this publication, Good Practice in South-South and Triangular Cooperation in the context of food security. It is indeed that this is a remarkable publication, I think, because which presents outstanding solution to crucial challenges faced by developing nations in the area of food security. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to our colleagues in the UN Office for South-South Cooperation and IBRAF for their continued cooperation and for showcasing FAO good practice, because FAO is a leading organization in US system for food system and agriculture. To achieving the BAP plus 40 outcome document recommendations, we need target the poorest and the most vulnerable population with the most sophisticated tools, combining our partners' comparative advantage on the ground. In this regard, FAO considers South-South and triangular cooperation as a vital instrument, with the organization acting as a neutral platform, aiming to inspiring, including, and innovation, connecting with other member nations and non-state actors to support the country from the global south. By showcasing FAO's successful South-South and triangular cooperation stories, we aim to stimulate achieving, sharing of good solutions, and inspire other FAO member nations and partners to engage in South-South and triangular cooperation. This is why these kind of publications are essential, because they collect best practice that can provide a solution to other countries and partners they are facing similar challenges. Today, we have chosen to focus on one specific good practice, that is the South-South cooperation project in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is funded by the FAO China South-South Cooperation Trust Fund, because this is a special trust fund donated by China. Total together, now it has been $130 million by three phases. Just 2 months ago, Chinese President Xi Jinping announced the third phase of this special trust fund, about $15 million. This FAO China South-South project in the Democratic Republic of Congo was implemented between July 2017 and August 2019, with the aim of supporting smallholder farmers to enhance their productivity, and profitability through sustainable agriculture. As we are aware, the Democratic Republic of Congo is one of the poorest countries in the world, with periodic internal communal conflict, which has triggered massive population displacement, destruction of infrastructures, and high food price, loss of livelihoods, undiversified diet, pest-infestation, and health epidemics. However, as over 75% of rural families rely on agriculture for their livelihoods, ensuring access to inputs and new technology is essential in order to enhance agriculture production and food security. During 2 years of this project implementation, there are 13 Chinese experts and technicians were fielded in the Democratic Republic of Congo to provide direct technical assistance to nearly more than 2,260 households in Congo. In the area of plant protection, horticulture, livestock, and aquaculture development, as well as use agriculture machinery. As a result, the production of crops, vegetables, livestock, and aquaculture notably increased. For example, I would like to give you one example that rice yield rose from 133 to 466% increase. In addition, the Chinese experts and technicians transmitted many easy operated, lower cost, and practical technology to local farmers in the Democratic Republic of Congo. These projects effectively transfer agriculture knowledge and technology at the local level, and will further enhance food security and agriculture sustainable development at local and national level, including through agriculture intensification and diversification through the Democratic Republic of Congo. South-South and Triangular cooperation is vital to support the countries facing similar challenges by facing knowledge, experience, practice, and technology, and by providing joint training and capacity building. In this regard, FAO is working to utilize enormous potential South-South and Triangular cooperation in the area of food security and agriculture to support our member nations, particularly developing nations from the Global South, to overcome new agriculture challenges. These includes transboundary plant pests and animal disease, growing pressure on natural resources, climate change, COVID-19 pandemic related to challenges, and many others. In order to do so, we need to boost the power of South-South and Triangular cooperation for food security, nutrition, and agriculture, aim to reduce hunger, malnutrition, and inequality. Considering this, FAO corporate priority and global actions such as Hand-in-Hand Initiative, Global 4 Army Worm Control Action Plan, Global Desert Locust Control Action Plan, and the Green City Initiative. They are mainly focused on the poorest people, and also the most vulnerable population, and leaving no one behind. Collaboration with the private sector is also crucial, as the growing importance of South-South and Triangular cooperation in agriculture and rural development calls for more resources, additional partnerships, and a sharper focus. We aim to innovate the modality of South-South and Triangular cooperation, utilizing new digital tools for agriculture and rural development, such as digital agriculture platform, providing open big data to users. Moreover, as COVID-19 pandemic continues its rapid spread worldwide, countries without exception, now they are taking unprecedented measures to mitigate the human and economic toll of the disease. With the entire globe facing this unparalleled challenge, South-South and Triangular cooperation offers an excellent tool for countries and international societies to learn from each other, exchange information on policies, share knowledge on the new technical and the knowledge being used to support countries during this global crisis, as well as strengthen and develop new partnerships. The COVID-19 crisis must not cause a setback to progress in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. During these challenging times, we are reminded of the importance of multilateralism, solidarity, just now as like the Professor Monto mentioned, solidarity is the most important, and international cooperation. Let me conclude by saying how important it is we further step up our efforts in South-South and triangular cooperation. I recognize that South-South and triangular cooperation can be a powerful and effective means for countries and international society to identify solutions, share and respond to immediate impacts of crisis in food security and sustainable agriculture development. So next, I would like, according to your question, to answer Democratic Republic of Congo, main outcomes, achievements, and the challenging. So may I continue?
Yeah, Mr. A, let's try to move forward right now, but we have a moment for questions and answers at the end. So let me move forward with other speaker right now, and then we can come back at this topic.
Yes.
Okay.
No problem. Thank you. Yes.
Perfect. Thank
Please.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We are going to address right now other good practice around technology and some of this transfer of knowledge. I'm going to call Dr. Alfredo Augusto Cunha Alves. He is research supervisor at Embrapa Cassava and Fruits in Brazil. And the good practice, Dr. Alfredo, is the Youth Technical Training Program on post-harvest processing of cassava, which was held in Bahia, a very sunny state in Brazil. So, Dr. Alfredo, can you please describe the project to us in terms of its objectives? What are the achievements and challenges that you face gathering this youth group, to Brazil?
Okay, Caroline, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I would like to thank the organizer in the name of Dr. João Bosco for inviting for this session. Also, I'd like to congratulate all the people involved in this, the organizing, the writing this publication. It's a very hard work, and it's an honor to me be here representing Embrapa, because taking a look in this publication, I realized that Embrapa is present in at least 8 projects in this publication, which corresponds to something like 20% of the good practice the Embrapa is involved in. So, of course, the Embrapa participation is not only by Embrapa Cassava and Fruits, where I work, but also by other Embrapa units that are present in this publication. So I'm glad to know that this publication shows us the importance of Embrapa as an institution that helps Brazil to be considered one of the main promoters of source and multilateral cooperation, especially in Africa. Regarding your question, I have selected some slides. Maybe we can try to share. Can I try?
Sure, please.
Okay. Let's see, maybe here.
The program, well, at the meantime, Dr. Alfredo, the program is held at the facilities of Embrapa in Bahia. This is also a partnership with the Brazil Africa Institute. So maybe can you tell us a little bit of the challenges and how is the project developed itself? What kind of classes and lessons the youth have with you in Salvador? Or in Salvador, no, in Cruz das Almas City, Bahia.
Okay. Are you see my screen?
I am. We can see your slide, yes.
Okay. Should I put in the screen like this, maybe? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Regarding our project, Caroline, it started the implementation this project with the technical training program for young African, which was implemented by IBRAF. Its basic objective is to promote knowledge transfer to develop the skill of young Africans. We should say that after developing these abilities, they may be able to share the learned content and apply in their own reality, right? So give you some introduction with, Africa is the continent that has one of the youngest population in the world, and also has an increasing number of young people without jobs, right? And in some regions like Sub-Saharan Africa, where the unemployment rate is increasing. The situation requires the government's effort to create job opportunities. Is one of the most efficient means for this is to train young people, men and women, in multiple sectors. The agricultural sector in Africa employs almost 60% of the entire workforce. And as we all know, cassava is one of the most important crops for the food security in the African continent, right? Where more than 50% of the world cassava is produced in Africa. However, the low productivity of cassava in Africa, we face the low productivity of cassava in Africa, and this is often a problem to ensure stable job and food security in rural areas, right? Let me see the next. Oops. I'm sorry.
Mr. Alfredo, Dr. Alfredo, maybe you can talk also for us a little bit about what are some of the processes in the cassava value chain for which Brazil can serve as a model for the Africa countries, because I know that there are some similarities, but there are also other processes that in Brazil are better carried out than in Africa.
Okay, Caroline, my screen is frozen here. Are you listening?
Yes, we can hear you, and we are also seeing one of the slides.
Okay. What about the slide?
Yes, we
so
are
you
seeing
moved
now.
for the second question, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
But don't worry. Sure. Please go ahead, Dr. Alfredo.
Okay. So I just wanted to follow that when the point I stopped, right?
Sure, no problem.
Okay. Let me see here. Okay. Brazil and Africa, as you can see here in this slide, has several similarities. One which is the field of agriculture. For the cooperation in transfer of technology. Over the past decade, Brazil has transformed its agricultural production, and Brazil is considered like one of the largest exporters in the world. And this experience has served as a model for other nations in Brazil and has been one of the major promoters of the social collaboration. So, considering the importance of cassava in the great diversity of technological innovation developed by IBRAF for the cultivation, especially for the processing of roots, IBRAF chose cassava to start YTTP and implemented in partnership with IBRAF a series of training on cultivation and post-harvest processing of cassava, right? For the achievement that you asked me about, Caroline, we executed 3 training editions. We were carried out between 2017 and 2019, where the participants were trained to learn the most recent Brazilian technological innovation for the cultivation and processing of cassava. 62 young people, 32 women, 28 men were trained between the age of 18 and 35 from 14 countries, speaking English, French, and Portuguese. The Portuguese, as you can see here, is only one in one section from Mozambique, but most were English and French. And this diversity of language, Caroline, is one of the main challenges that you asked me. It was incredible, challenging experience for the IBRAF to organize this conference, to create a communication logistic between instructor and trainees, so that the information could be translated almost in the same time into the two foreign languages. So it was very challenging. So
I can imagine that this is a challenge.
Yeah, sure. This challenge, the people organized from IBRAF they are very crazy to try to solve the problem. Okay. Let's move here for the, okay. Okay, the training program, Caroline, involved, as you can see in the publication, theoretical classes, followed by the practices in the field, in laboratories, and visit to artisanal and industrial cassava process units. So, located in Cruz das Almas. That's one idea we can see here, the participant learn to do the practice in the laboratory or in the cassava process unit. Sorry for the time, but that's the history, the objectives, and the achievement that you asked me.
This is an amazing project, Dr. Alfredo. I have a curiosity. How are the participants implementing this kind of technology that they learned in Brazil once they are back to their countries of origin? Have you heard about them? Are you keep following with some of them? They are becoming able to try to make this transfer of knowledge to their countries?
Okay, before you ask me about the process, but maybe you don't have time to show, but I go to this question. This is an excellent question, Caroline, which is difficult to answer with confidence. We have already at IBRAP conduct several training like this. And after the end of the course, we feel like a frustration because we cannot follow or monitor our trainee. What our trainee are applying the country, what they have learned in Brazil, right? But I realized that here, I realized in this program. Let me follow it. I realized in this program, Caroline, that the participants, because they are young entrepreneurs, they show a great enthusiasm to learn, and always they were eager to return to the country to start applying the knowledge in the company, and to transfer what they learned to their colleagues. And in the publication being launched here, it mentions some case of implementation of the lesson learned in the training. But I want to take the opportunity here in your question to are you seeing my screen?
Sorry, Dr. Alfredo?
Are you see my screen?
Yes, we are seeing your screen, but Dr. Alfredo, just to let you know, maybe I'm going to ask you to move forward right now because we have some other very special guests as you to talk a little bit about their good practices as well. Maybe by the end we can come back to you with one more question just to wrap up this very nice project that you have presented to us right now. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Alfredo. Maybe if you can just end up your presentation, you have to end your presentation in order for us to stop seeing your screen right now. And I'm going to, can you end this presentation for us? Yes, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Alfredo. Thank you very much for introducing us to this very special project right now. I'm going to continue inviting other speakers to address a good practice with us. Now I'm going to talk with Dr. Cristiane Buani. She is the head of Operations Management Unit at the Regional Center of Excellence Against Hunger and Malnutrition in Côte d'Ivoire. Hello, Dr. Cristiane. Just a moment, I don't know. Dr. Alfredo, can you please turn off your mic? I don't know if there are other participants with the mic on. Thank you very much. So Dr. Cristiane is here with us. She will speak about the challenges and lessons learned and on documenting and disseminating good practices in Africa from their experience on the Regional Center of Excellence Against Hunger and Malnutrition in Abidjan. And she will also shed some light on their experience on documenting good practices in homegrown school feeding in the continent. So hello, Dr. Cristiane. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Dr. Cristiane.
Yeah, please go on, sorry.
Okay, so just for us to talk a little bit about your experiences in documenting these good practices in the homegrown school feeding program, which have been the challenge and lessons learned so far.
Thank you, Carolina. Very good to be here with you today. Good morning, afternoon, or evening to all the distinguished speakers, organized partners, and participants. It's an honor for us from the Regional Center of Excellence to be participating today in this very important webinar. Now, firstly, very quick, I just would like to congratulate UNOSSC and the Brazil Africa Institute for the new publication. This publication has for sure a unique value for the efforts to promote food security in Africa through the learning and dissemination of good practice. Which can be replicated throughout the continent, respecting countries' particularities and context, and also had the potential to bring about the transformation needed to inform locally ownable and durable solutions to hunger. So the Regional Center of Excellence, more related to your question, since its launch in 2019, has been working to expand documentation and dissemination of good practice on food security and nutrition in Africa. No? As a catalyst and enabler of these zero hunger and malnutrition solutions, SURFAN, that is a partnership between the World Food Programme and the government of Côte d'Ivoire, has positioned itself as a platform that enables the learning, exchange, sharing of knowledge through partnership, research, and technical assistance, mainly to respond to the increasing demand of national governments and development partners to strengthen their national capacities, knowledge management, documentation, and sharing of good practice and lessons learned. A key strategic thematic for SURFAN is homegrown school feeding. No, governments are very interested in these initiatives, mostly because of its multiple benefits on education, health, nutrition, safety net, and linkages to broader national rural and agricultural development strategy. Although despite all these well-known benefits, examples of large-scale homegrown school feed implementation in Africa are still rare. Normally, lack of evidence, documentation of experiences, lessons learned play an important role in preventing countries to advance their programs in this area, combined with the need for more capacity, expertise, financial constraint, multiple priorities, the homegrown school feeding initiatives need still joint efforts from different stakeholders to be scaled up in the continent. That's what we have seen. We've seen that most of the documentation are normally not systematic, and the criteria are not clear. And then there is also a lack of awareness of the importance in the continent of documenting current programs and projects. The resources allocated for these activities are normally limited and not included since the planning of the project. And these are very crucial challenges. No? We've seen also, but for the other side, we've seen that improved coordination, a clear prioritization and planning with clear criteria, methodology, and tools of exchange can be good key strategic lessons learned for increasing this documentation. They could really serve as mechanisms to improve these lessons learned on homegrown school feeding. Serfan has been doing a lot of documentation, and we also have tried to contribute to this process with the development of a guideline in good practice. This guideline was based in a long literature review with many of the partners here present, FAO, IFAD, that are working in these UNOSSC centers of excellence that are working in good practice. And these methodologies trying to help really identify with the criteria. We have included 9 criteria, and mainly the most important that we have seen is the one that remains let practice to be replicable, sustainable, feasible, and able to be scaled. And Serfan, to support this endeavor, has launched a platform similar to South-South Galaxy, but this one is really for the submission of good practice, also with a database of experts and data and good practice that can also support countries to identify which type of practice they have, if it's a practice that is innovative, replicable, or scaled up. No, we really hope that these initiatives and some of the lessons learned that I presented here can help countries to advance and foster more evidence-based information on homegrown school feeding can be accessible and easy to inform policymakers on the benefits and how to implement homegrown school feeders in the continent.
It's very nice to hear that, Dr. Cristiani. Specifically regarding the benefits of the homegrown school feeding projects, what are the benefits that the program can bring to the continent, and what have you seen in these past decades within the African continent around the benefits that the program can boost up?
Yeah, so homegrown school feeding is a concept that was developed around 2003. Mainly to provide from CADAP, the initiative in African Union, to be able to connect agriculture and education. Homegrown school feeding is also under a very successful experience of Brazil, can contribute to provide the children in school with safe, diverse, more nutritious food that are sourced locally from smallholder farmers. It can contribute to maximize the benefits also and strengthen capacity of smallholder farmers while bringing the schools together and to the local farmers and the local sources. No? So there is a component of really enabling the creation and promotion of a strong and sustainable community base, helping them to fight food insecurity, strengthening local economic development with this link on supply, demand, school, and local farmers. Also, with all the main benefits of school feeding programs, could also help to improve educational outcomes, especially dropouts and evasion, in line also with promotion of gender and equality. Mostly the design and implementation of homegrown school feeding needs to involve strongly commitment from different stakeholders in a very multi-sector approach and really bring together community, local authorities, governments. Normally, because it's an intervention with such multiple benefits, that's why what makes a homegrown school feeding very, very attractive, no? And I think for your question, we can have multiple answers due to the complexity of homegrown school feeding programs. It seems, what we have seen, that it seems a very nice formula, but very complex to put in place. No, as I said, we still have rare cases of scale-up homegrown school feeding programs in Africa. And we have seen that it's crucial to increase evidence-based information to decision makers, for them to really understand the value, opportunity, and challenges of investing in homegrown school feeding. It's an initiative, as I said, that depends highly on government engagement, leadership, and ownership. It's almost a call for all stakeholders at national level to participate and contribute. So this really evidence-based documentation could really guide homegrown school feeding design, and also create more integration with ongoing actions on the ground, increasing synergies and complementarities. And also, in line with the workshop, the webinar that we see today, we had seen that homegrown school feeding was also very important topic in leveraging South-South and triangular cooperation experience, and also an opportunity to invest in capacity strengthening to enable government and institutions to access this information. Really, also, it was a thematic that can really benefit for fostering policy dialogue to catalyze all these high-level political engagement, and also advocacy, for increasing investment and ownership. We can mention, for example, at the continental level, the African Union Day for School Feeding is a key moment to try to advance these programs, and also the work on the school feeding cluster. Just to mention quickly, we have seen very important advances in this area, and the facilitation of knowledge and creation of the inspiring countries for homegrown. And Brazil, with the Brazil Center of Excellence, has been doing an excellent job in advocating for homegrown school feeding in the continent. From their efforts together with the countries, almost all the continent has developed a legal and policy frameworks in homegrown school feeding based in the Brazilian experience. And then Brazil, and also the Brazil Center, plays a unique role to foster this homegrown school feeding in Africa. And I tell that SURFund is very glad to collaborate with them on this endeavor. And also to mention, and you have this in the publication, we also have other initiatives that recently have been good efforts to advance homegrown school feeding. So we have, for instance, the Homegrown School Feeding Resource Framework, which was a joint effort of different partners engaging in homegrown. We have the African Union Study on Sustainable School Feeding Program. We have WFP has launched a new strategy on school health and nutrition, which is really going to be implemented at regional level, at the regional plan. SURFund also has been able to do a landscape analysis of homegrown school feeding in West and Central Africa. And it was an exercise that confirmed what I have been saying, that documentation is crucial, and that countries needed to understand more what they can do. And this study provided some recommendations. What can I do to replicate? What is the path to really have a good practice in homegrown school feeding? So I will stop here because I know you have another question for me.
No, Dr. Christina, I was about to say that this kind of program is also a very important asset, especially in this moment we are facing around the pandemic. Just a short comment of you on that.
Yes, I think that as we colleagues have said, we really face an unprecedented challenge at this moment. And we have seen that this COVID has really exacerbating and worsening the food security and nutrition in the region. They have also impacted the socioeconomic areas, and specifically the supply chains and access to markets were destabilized. People losing their livelihoods, and the unprecedented scale of shocks that Grace was saying, Professor Mont was saying, you can double the number of people at risk, no? And homegrown school feeding, and especially school feedings, are also facing these troubles. And in Africa specifically, this is exacerbating the vulnerabilities and affecting agriculture and food system. Really, many of the children who benefit from school feeding programs were out of schools when schools were closed. And but also we also had good examples of countries that were able to keep the programs and the initiatives, and trying to make COVID like an opportunity out of COVID for learning, but still to keep being able to deliver some modality of school feeding. We're seeing also that resuming schools has been also bringing a lot of questions for the homegrown school feeding and the school feeding programs in continent. So still capturing this lesson learned will be crucial for us to learn how to deal with crises in the future, and to understand how much this kind of initiatives with multiple benefits can contribute to the continent to be more resilient and to be able to really promote sustainably food and nutrition security.
For sure, Dr. Cristiani, thank you very much for giving these amazing insights for us today. We are going to call right now, thank you. We are going to call right now our last speaker of today, last but not least, which is Dr. Abdulrazak Ibrahim, Capacity Development Officer at FARA. Hello, hi, Abdul. The good practice he is going to address is the Agricultural Research and Innovation Fellowship for Africa, ARIFA. Hello, hello, Abdul. So please give us an overview on the ARIFA right now, its objective, and what has achieved so far.
All right, thank you very much, Caroline. Just to be sure, do you hear me clear?
Sure,
because
perfect.
I can see a little problem with
it
my
works very fine. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So I have this presentation I would like to just share because it summarizes the central idea around connection with the South-South and triangular cooperation. So I'd like to ask, I don't know whether Raphael can help me just put the slides over there because I'm unable to do it from here.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Okay, maybe we can start talking a little bit on the program.
Okay, yes, I can do that. First, let me thank you and thank the organizers on behalf of the whole team here in FARA for giving us the opportunity and for recognizing the efforts of FARA in leveraging the SSTC framework to advance the continent's mandate, in terms of achieving the sustainable development goals, in terms of achieving the objectives and the goals of the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Plan. Now, for those of you who are participants here may not be aware of what FARA does, we are the technical arm of the African Union on matters around agriculture, agricultural science, technology, innovation, and so on. So we coordinate agricultural research on the continent. You can jump to the next slide, please. Right, so we coordinate agricultural research for development, and the way we work is we work with sub-regional organizations across the continent. These are located in different regions. Bring the whole content of this slide. So in Western Africa, you have what we organization CORAF. You have in Southern Africa, where we do several countries. Oops, I think you're moving too fast. Right. So in Southern Africa, we have those 15 countries, in Eastern Central Africa, and in Northern Africa as well. Now these countries in turn speak to their national agricultural research and innovation systems, where you have all the research institutes, you have the universities, extension agents, the farmer organizations, and so on. Please, you can move to the next slide. Just to be sure, do you hear me, Carol?
Yes, I'm hearing you perfectly.
Okay, good. Thank you. So the functions that FARA exercises on the continent, covers a wide range of issues around, particularly capacity development. We see it as our mandate to strengthen institutional capacities across the continent as far as agriculture and science and innovation are concerned. Advocacy in terms of new technologies, emerging technologies, adapting to climate smart agricultural practices and so on. Knowledge management in terms of putting together knowledge products for dissemination. Intelligence gathering. FARA, for example, is the host to the Africa Foresight Academy, where we try to strengthen Africa's capacity to innovate, to forecast and to conduct foresight. So we have over the years been involved in a number of projects around South-South and triangular cooperation. Notably among them are these ones that you see on the slide, the Africa-Brazil marketplace, which for many years it brought together researchers from Africa within the Africa Agricultural and Innovation System and matches them with their counterparts in IBRAF, particularly in Brazil, in IBRAF. And this generated quite a number of innovations, quite a number of technologies, and FARA participated in this and led to, in fact, scaling of this particular project in what is known as MBOS, that is building on the success of the marketplace. So looking at that experience, and while we were reviewing our strategy, we thought we can do much more than just training people or matching scientists. We can match farmers as well. We can match the policymakers. We can match the business group. So we came up with a new strategy, which is entirely a South-Southern Triangular Cooperation strategy that we call HELP, Holistic Empowerment for Livelihoods Program. It's in the next slide. Now, this strategy, it has several components, but I brought here 3 of those components. One of those components is bringing business to business together. So agripreneurs, young farmer innovative associations can be matched with their counterparts in Brazil, in China, in several other countries within the global south. Mobility, policymakers can be mobilized from Africa within and across the global south partnership. And then the Agricultural Research and Innovation Fellowship Program, which is what we submitted in this case. So ARIFA is part of the bigger FARA South-Southern Triangular Cooperation strategy. Capacity for innovation. So it's a holistic model that is driven by this global partnership. And we situated snugly onto the African Union Agenda 2063, particularly Aspiration 1 of the African Agenda 2063. Okay, that's it. So, and this Aspiration 1 has everything to do with zero hunger, has everything to do with food and nutrition security. My brother, Dr. Alfredo, talked about how do you monitor when you train people in Brazil, for example, and they return to their countries? How do you monitor them? So the strategy we're bringing out of HELP and out of ARIFA actually tries to solve that problem. And we look up to countries within the global south, particularly Brazil, obviously, and we are also engaging with China, the Chinese Academy for Agricultural Science. We're engaging with the Punjab Agricultural University and many other universities and research centers across the world within the context of ARIFA. So just, can you move to the next slide? Thank you. So we recognize that there's this dearth of capacity in Africa, and that is perhaps why we're not able to meet the food and nutrition security requirements on the continent. If you compare, for example, the number of scientists per million population in different regions, from Latin America, in Brazil, you see the number is there, in US, in Nigeria. So we thought addressing this issue can actually foster the creation of new technologies, innovations, and this can derive food and nutrition security, can improve livelihoods. Please move to the next slide. Good. So we came up with ARIFA, and the objective of ARIFA is we set ourselves a target from last year. Within the next 10 years, we want to create a new generation of young agricultural research and development practitioners who are not just doing research, but they're also generating solutions for their community. And we have started with a number of fellows. Currently, we have fellows in the European region, but our biggest impact currently is happening in Brazil, where we're engaging at least 120 young Africans from Nigeria in particular. We're engaging them and training them in Universidade Federal de Viçosa, which is one of the centers of agricultural research in Brazil. Please move to the next slide. Right, so now what makes ARIFA different from any other capacity development intervention that you might engage in, any educational or capacity strengthening activity, is that there's a paradigm shift in it. It brings that element of research for development. It confronts the Africa's brain drain issue. It is holistic in terms of its approach, and it targets delivering livelihoods in order to improve food and nutrition security. And Brazil, as a leader in tropical agriculture, our earlier presenter, Mr. Nelson, mentioned tropical agriculture, the potential, the capacity for tropical agriculture in Brazil. And we are leveraging on that and using in FARA what we call the innovation systems thinking to implement this project. How does it work? Please move to the next slide. Right, so it's not just about generating a product, it's not just about innovating, but it's about making sure that you develop that technology or whatever product you generate out of research, commercializing it, and ensuring that it reaches the last mile, it reaches the smallholder farmers for whom many of these products sometimes are just a dream. So that is why you take young people to Brazil, you train them, you bring them back, and when you bring them back, we set up what we call innovation platform. In that innovation platform, you have those people that were trained in Brazil, bringing together all the knowledge that they acquired, interacting with smallholder farmers, interacting with policymakers, interacting with investors, with bankers, with all the stakeholders in formulating research questions and actually generating solutions and innovations that can address local problems, and in this case, food and nutrition security problems. Please move to the next slide. So we have started, and this is just to show the story behind our engagement with the Universidade Federal de Viçosa. So yes, Universidade Federal de Viçosa, where we have leveraged resources from Nigeria's Tertiary Education Trust Fund to train this 120 academic staff from various institutions, especially those that have agricultural research as their mandate. So from universities, from polytechnics, from colleges of education. Please, next slide. Okay, so we're speaking, this partnership that we're leveraging within the SSTC framework is advancing. We're adding more partners, we're bringing more partners, we're looking for more host institutions. So we're speaking with IBRAF, we're speaking with SENA in Brazil, we're speaking with Punjab Agricultural University in India, we're speaking with IBRAF Cassava. You will probably recognize my friend, Dr. Alfredo, in one of the pictures there. Next slide. It's stuck. Okay, yeah, this is just to show that, you know, ARIFA is actually an outcome of this South-South and triangular cooperation, which is facilitated by IBRAF, and for which we are really very grateful, because it brought together all of these various partners, and here we are implementing it. And right now, because of COVID, for example, this cohort of trainees should have been in Brazil at the moment, but because of COVID, we had to innovate in the way that we will engage them, because our time is moving. So what we did is our plan to set up 6 innovation platforms for this cohort of 120 trainees in Nigeria. So what we did is, instead of starting with creating this innovation platform, because the idea is to create it next year. So we said, okay, let's start now, but not with innovation platform, but with what we call V-Train Hub, virtual training and innovation hubs. So we bring together all of these different fellows, and right now they are attending classes in their different innovation, virtual training and innovation hubs. But these lectures are being administered from Brazil. Please, next slide. Yes, so this is an example of one of the virtual training and innovation hubs that we are coordinating in Lagos. This is going on in partnership with the Tertiary Education Trust Fund of Nigeria and Universidade Federal de Viçosa. So the professors are from UFV and the students are in Nigeria. And the plan is that sometime next year, perhaps when conditions lies these candidates to Viçosa, where they will interact with their Brazilian counterparts. And when they return, and this is really the game changer in ARIFA, when they return, we're converting these V-Train hubs into the actual innovation hub, which will bring the farmers, the policymakers, the bankers, the investors, the academia, you know, and the students who will then unpack their experiences, their Brazilian experiences, because we believe that we can learn from Brazil. In fact, personally, I was also trained in Brazil, where we learned, where I learned this agricultural research way of solving problems. And because of the urgency of the situation in terms of the need to address food and nutrition security, we see this as a quick win, and we're reaching out to more partners, more host institutions within the global south, like I mentioned, in China and in India. We're doing in the other component of help. In the other component of help, we are also implementing a project with China in a project that's supported by IFAD. Next slide, please. I think I'll quickly end the presentation.
Yes, Abdul, just one more minute.
Move to the next slide.
Are you listening, Abdul? No, just one more minute for you to wrap up, because
yes,
I know that you are already well established to boost the program. So these are just
some of the partners that are part of this. Some we have already formed of the partnership together. Others we're still in discussion, but you can see how we have disaggregated them. And I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much, Abdul. ARIFA is a very well structured program. You have mentioned some of the difficulties due to the COVID-19. We are all facing this new situation, but this is a very well structured program, and I'm sure that next year you are going to be ready to move forward and to boost the program. So I know that I have promised all of you a moment for questions and answers, but unfortunately, due to our time, we are not going to be able to do that now. But I'd like to thank the audience who shared some questions with us. And I'd like also to say that if you want to direct some of the questions for the speakers, the office, the UN Office for South-South Cooperation, can try to help and try to address some of these questions. You can share the questions via email. So the email, I'm going to ask my colleague Shams from the office to write the email at the chat, and then all participants can try to engage via email directing some of the questions. So just for us to finish, I'd like to ask each speaker in a few seconds, 20, 30 seconds, to give us a message on this moment we have just shared. Okay, email. Shams has put the email for the participants try to address some questions, and I would request the speakers to share with us in just a few seconds your message for this moment, your message on the importance of South cooperation and the expectations to have a post-pandemic period working together and boosting cooperation. I'm going to go back to Mr. Nelsi to start. 20 seconds, Mr. Nelsi.
Okay, thank you very much for passing me the floor. Just like to tell people that we could never give up to our job, because our job is like agriculture. If we saw a seed, it will a good one, it will give us good results. So go ahead, people working on South-South cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nessi. It was a pleasure to have you with us today. Mr. Ye, your comment in just 20 seconds.
Thank you very much. I would like to say that now food security and because of the pandemic of COVID-19, it's getting more serious. So world, including countries, United Nations, private sector, should unite together, work together, contribution together for the vulnerable people, for the poor people, because the vulnerable people need food. So we should work together to feed all of the people in the world. No one can be on behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ye. Dr. Alfredo, your message.
Okay, thank you very much for your patience, Carolina. I think it was very nice to, even though we see only one sample of the publication, I think we have to try to digest all the publication to see each characteristic that's very important to everybody know that how the social cooperation is very important to all the people. So I'd like to say about this YTTP program that even though I told you that
I think we have some troubles with the connection of Dr. Alfredo. So I move forward with Dr. Cristiani right now. Just a short message for us to end.
Thank you, Carolina. Thank you very much.
This is a model, and IBRAF I follow this kind of training in this modality that YTTP has been implemented.
Dr. Alfredo, we are facing some troubles to hear you perfectly. Okay, so okay, thank you very much. I'm going to move now for Dr. Cristiani.
Thank you, Carolina, and thank you again for this opportunity, Professor João, Grace, very nice, and all the speakers to be here. I think we have experienced it today, you know, very clear with all the testimonies here today, the power of South-South cooperation. We have seen that challenges are there. There's still a lot to do remaining to be tackled, but we have seen that little by little, we can change scenarios, and working together, you know, identifying what is there, what is the powerful solutions, what is new that we needed to make accessible to countries and partners, we can change scenarios. So I think we needed to continue believing on that. And this is a powerful thought, to go together and walk together hand to hand to a transformative continent in case of Africa.
Thank you, Dr. Christiane. And please, Dr. Abdulrazak Ibrahim, your last comment.
Thank you very much. I'd like to say that, you know, the South-South and Triangular Cooperation is an excellent opportunity for countries in the Global South to really leverage and improve the living conditions of their.
Yeah, also a bit of trouble with the connection. Dr. Ibrahim, do you hear me? Okay, unfortunately, we have lost Dr. Ibrahim, I guess. So I'd like to thank you all the speakers for joining this very special moment, and to wrap up and try to make also a brief comment on this. I would appreciate to have now Mrs. Xiaojun Grace Wang, the Deputy Director of the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation, wrapping up this moment. Dr. Grace Wang.
Thank you very much, Caroline, and thank you all distinguished panelists for your sharing of wonderful knowledge today. I think I have heard several very important messages. It's about South-South cooperation, its features and its advantages in supporting food security. The first message I heard is South-South in food security. It's not just about one SDG. It connects more SDGs. Food security is about education, health, livelihood, especially for women and youth. And I heard solutions you presented today are working at all fronts. It's not only in the farming field, it's also in schools, and in research institutions, in innovation labs, and in the marketplace. The second message that I heard is South-South in food security and agriculture features both practical solutions and also modern technologies. The cases you have shown us, some technologies transferred as simple, traditional, practical, and cost-effective. But in the meantime, we also discussed leveraging digital technology in agriculture and in advancing South-South cooperation. The third message that I heard clearly is South-South cooperation depends a lot on government leadership and strong drive and support, while it also engages NGOs, private sector, research institutions in a multi-stakeholder approach. That reminded me of good practices, not only we presented today, but also supported, for example, by IBSA Fund, India, Brazil, South Africa Trust Fund. No matter it is about Comoros agricultural productivity, soybean farming in Zambia, or coconut production in Kiribati, we see all actors working together to make an initiative successful. Finally, through today's workshop, we heard the central message of the power of research and knowledge, which has to be documented and shared with methodologies and channels that can be easily accessible and applicable in real practice and in informing legal and policy frameworks. So all these messages I think we have shared today are important in guiding our collaboration to advance South-South cooperation to address food security issue. Let's Let me use one message from the South-South Galaxy platform to end my closing remarks. Let us line up the stars and connect for a better world with zero hunger and no one left behind. Thank you very much.
This is a very kind message, Dr. Grace, Mrs. Grace Wing. Thank you very much for joining us. Professor João Bosco Monte, President of the Brazil-Africa Institute, the messages said here has to be shared, right?
Well, I wish I could stay longer, listen to all of you, and I'm very excited with the enthusiasm that I heard from your voices. I mean, the way that you presented the good practices is amazing, and I understand all the audience that is with us are very pleased to use the solutions that you are bringing here with something tangible. So thank you very much for all the effort that you are putting together until now. Thank you, Grace, for your time. Thank you, Nelsie, for your time as well. Mr. Yambin Yi, thank you. Alfredo, thank you very much. Christiane as well. And Abdul, it's very good to hear your enthusiasm again. But I want to use this moment, the final remarks, saying that real people, they need real solutions, right? Sometimes we talk too much, sometimes we discuss too much, sometimes we just are together too much, but we don't see real solutions for real people. And I see real solutions from the perspective that was presented here. That's why I'm very glad that the result of this publication will be an inspiration for all of us to bring dignity for people, because at the end of the day, that's what we are here for, to bring people the opportunity for them to live better. And all the involvement, all the investment that we do so far have to be in the favor of the people that needs our efforts. And it's our responsibility to bring solutions for food security, especially for vulnerable people, fragile states. If we do not put this in our agenda, we are doing things that doesn't bring efficient solution for people who needs real solutions. I want to emphasize that the role of the South-Southern Triangle Cooperation is a powerful tool to bring good and important solutions for people who really needs, not only in Africa, not only Brazil, but everywhere. And I understand this document that we are launching today with 40 good practices is just the beginning. And I want to go beyond this, and together with all of you, as I said at the beginning, alone we cannot do anything, but together we can do something. Now is the seed that we put on the ground, and I'm very pleased that we are sharing during this time our experiences to bring more people on board. We need to put more people together with us to see that the result that we are having now will be amplified. So to conclude, I want to thank you, all of you, once again for the efforts, and this initiative that we are having now show us the urgency of food security or food insecurity. We need to work very hard to solve problems of people who needs very urgently this solution. So once again, thank you very much, and I hope that in a very near future we can see the result of this moment with something more concrete. Once again, thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, Professor. So I'd like once again to thank you all for engaging here with us today, the participants for putting very amazing, also very special questions here. Please send the questions via email. You can check the publication at the platform South-South Galaxy, at the website of the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation, and also at the website of IBRAF. It was a pleasure for me to be here learning from you, and congratulations to you all for these amazing initiatives, these amazing good practices that we hope can be scaled up and inspiring around the world. Thank you very much for joining us, and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Friends and brothers and sisters.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
All right. Thank
So
you.
let's,
Bye-bye.
catch up later and
you.
to explore more cooperation. Thank you.
Thanks, Grace.
Bye.
It was good to see you again.
Bye.